Hello, hello, hello. What's up, Foxies? And welcome on down to the Foxhole. This week, I'm going to speak about things I started to notice 3 months into, my sobriety journey. But before I get into that, I want to read something I found on Google about breaking habits because it's a little different than what I had initially thought. I initially thought it was 21 days to break a habit. But it still says that, but let me read it to you in its entirety. So it says, according to research, breaking a habit can take anywhere from 18 to 254 days, meaning there's no set time frame and it varies greatly depending on the person and the habit itself, contrary to the common belief that it takes 21 days to break a habit, which that makes total sense to me for sure. I feel like a lot of this, there's just so many variables to breaking a habit, so that definitely makes sense to me. But I've definitely heard with drinking alcohol, out of all the videos I watched, leading up to drinking no alcohol, a lot of people told me like those initial 2 to 3 weeks are definitely the hardest for sure. And it took me all those months to quit, and I broke one time drinking, but once I fully committed and really literally looked myself in the mirror and made a promise to myself, Bruce, you gotta stop. After that, it was pretty easy to me. Once I set my mind to something, I really wanted to do it, which I really wanted to stop alcohol. I'm definitely going to do it for sure. And I never had an issue, as I mentioned before, with alcohol until 2022 when my depression started. So in a way, I feel like I just started reprogramming myself back to the way I used to be before. And honestly, I definitely started to feel that way. Up to the 3 months after I stopped drinking, I started to feel happy again, and I started to, love myself again. I wouldn't say I was fully happy and loving myself, but I was definitely on, the upward route to that for sure. And when I had broke, I mentioned it in a previous episode, but I had broke a week after I said I was going to stop drinking. And so I drank, I started on a Monday. I think it was after Super Bowl Sunday in 2024, that Sunday. And then I ended up drinking that following Saturday and Sunday back to back. But I definitely regret it for sure. And for those of you guys that may have missed the episode, I had went on a date prior, and then a week later I had ended up meeting a guy at a pool party, and I ended up drinking back to back days. But I feel if we had met somewhere else, at a restaurant or something, I definitely probably wouldn't have drank. But that's something I definitely regret for sure. But I remember after that Saturday and Sunday, when that Monday, actually that Sunday night hit, and when I looked at myself in the mirror, I'm just Bruce, you're just physically and mentally exhausted. I had already started kind of feeling better, but I just got so much kind of anxiety of going to a pool party and just being in that environment. Just being in that environment sober just sounded it just gives me anxiety thinking about it. So I just remember having that feeling where I was I'm just gonna drink. But when that night came, I just looked myself in the mirror and I said, enough is enough. You're mentally and physically exhausted. You got to start today. And, that's what I did. Definitely regret that moment for sure. So if you're thinking about quitting alcohol, just really, really fight through those initial 2 to 3 weeks. You'll get through it. You'll get through it. I definitely did. And, now I'm telling my testimony. So, I hope, if you're thinking about quitting alcohol, you can get through those initial weeks. And I promise you, after already experiencing it and seeing or hearing other people, say the same thing, like it really does get better after those 2 to 3 weeks for sure. So now I just want to, go into, kind of like things that like I noticed started to change with me, 3 months of no alcohol. And the first I want to touch on is acid reflux. So like I've only had like acid reflux like just a couple of times in my life, but it's only been bad like twice. One time was like kind of when I first moved to Vegas in like 2020 or 2021, and I ended up going to the doctor after like I had it for a couple of weeks, and they gave me a prescription, and I was better in a few days. And then I had got it again in 2023, maybe like in November, and I stopped drinking in February of 2024. And I swear, like it was the worst acid reflux I've ever had, like in my life. Like if you were like around me and having a conversation with me, like every other word was like a cough. Like I like literally could not stop like coughing. Like at first I thought like I just had some kind of like common cold or some kind of like allergies, because I feel like I started getting like allergies like when I moved out here to Vegas. I really never really had an issue with allergies at all back in Cincinnati, but when I moved here in Vegas, I definitely noticed like I started having like runny noses a lot more, and just cough here and there, but for the most part, not so bad, but definitely something I noticed. So yeah, like I literally like every other word was like a cough. Like it got to the point where like I even like did not want to have conversations with people, because like I was scared I was gonna like just like have an outburst of like cough, or like cough spit into their food or their drink or whatnot. So like I remember just having it. It was just the worst. But like I hate going to the doctor, so I didn't go to the doctor at first. Like I said, I thought it was like a common cold or something, allergies. But I started doing a whole bunch of like home remedies and just looking up stuff online, and like nothing was working. And then come January, and I want to say this is around like October, November, like this initially started happening. So it was a couple of months for sure. And I want to say January, I'm just like, okay, I need to go to the doctor. So I first called the doctor and had asked them if they could look up the prescription they gave me a few years ago that when I had it, it went away. And they said they couldn't find it because I guess, I don't know, like they said something about like their records like erased like 2 years after the fact. So like this had to been like in 2021. But like I didn't know like doctor's office did that. I thought they like kept records, but whatever. So they couldn't find it. So I actually had to go into like the doctor's office, and they gave me some prescription, and it did not work at all. I was so pissed. Like, so after all the home like remedies I was trying, I even bought like some kind of like treatment like I like found on like Amazon that people said worked for acid reflux. That didn't work. The prescription the doctor gave me didn't work. Like nothing worked. So like when I first stopped drinking on February 19th, literally it went away in like 2 to 3 days. Like after having it for like 4 or 5 months, it went away like ASAP. Like that's literally like the first thing like I noticed that went away. And let me tell you, I felt so free. Like my lungs felt good, my throat felt good. Like I was no longer coughing. Like it was just amazing. And that was like the first thing that went away. And I'm just like, damn, like alcohol was really causing this acid reflux for all this time. And so I thought that was amazing. Like I didn't even need a prescription or home remedies or anything like that. Like I just needed to stop alcohol. So that was definitely the first thing. And then the second thing that started going away was my tension headaches. And I didn't really mention it before in the previous episodes, but with those tension headaches, I had brain fog. And the brain fog it wasn't every day like my tension headaches, but it was most days. Like, or like I would have it and then it will go away. So just imagine like having those tension headaches, which I said is like it just feels like a band wrapped around your head, along with brain fog, which is just basically just like you just feel stuck. Like your mental clarity is not there, your judgment's not there. It just feels like your brain, for me, it feels like my brain just was held captive. Like, yeah, it's just not a good feeling to have like both of those, at the same time. But I did notice like those started to go away like 2 to 3 weeks after I had stopped drinking, which was such a relief because, like I told you, like out of all like the symptoms like I had and issues I had with like drinking, the tension headaches were by far the worst to cope with for sure. Like I said, I don't wish that on upon anybody, and I had that for like 6 to 8 months every single fucking day. I'm telling you, like it was the worst. So just imagine have the tension headaches on top of the brain fog. Like if I like talked to you or had a conversation with you between that time and 2022, like with my depression and even in 2023, like, and I didn't make any sense. Just know like I would just have the tension headaches and brain fog. So like yeah, there has been so many times where I left conversations and I'm just like, what the fuck did I just say? Like, or like I wouldn't understand what people were saying. I was just, not in my head during the conversation or just saying like, yeah, throughout the conversation to, let the person know like I was paying attention, but like in all reality, like I probably didn't understand like a word you said, like to be honest, especially if it like was something like some kind of intelligent talk, like I don't know, like politics or something, just something that requires you to think. Like I probably just did not understand you like at all. But yeah, so those started going away like 2 to 3 weeks after, I stopped drinking, which was like just a huge relief. And they did come back for sure after those 2 to 3 weeks. But it wasn't every day by any means. It was like once or twice a week. Both the tension headaches and brain fog, would come back for sure. But all in all, like that was just alcohol withdrawal. That was just, my body telling me like I need the alcohol again, like bring it back to me. But my mind was set up. I'm like, no, there's no more alcohol. I'm just gonna have to fight through these random tension headaches, brain fog, and then I'll deal with it while it's here, and then it will go away, and which they did. And up to those 3 months, like I said, I had it every now and then, but they officially went away, and I have not had any like tension headaches or brain fog since, and my mental clarity is on 100 for sure. Like my mind feels so good. So yeah, so that's that. And then so that's the second thing. And then my energy really started to return. I'd say probably like a month or so in. I was back to, working out like 5 to 6 times a week, rather than, the 2 to 3 times a week I was working out during my depression. So I started to feel like better too. So, with working out, you just feel better. Your mental clarity is better. So like I was working out 5 to 6 times a week again consistently. So that was good. Along with the energy, like I started to be more productive, like in the house and out of the house again. My room wasn't like dirty all the time. Like usually I usually keep my room like pretty clean, and the kitchen, my house, living room, all that good stuff. But there's a period of time where I felt like a slob. I was just a mess. Like I was just in a depression. Like I did not want to do anything. So, my daily cleaning and all that stuff came back. So, my house was looking a lot better. And then the biggest thing I want to say about the energy is relatable to like work. Like, so I'm no longer doing Sunday fun days anymore. So like on Mondays, like I'm waking up like feeling like a million like bucks. Like, and this was probably a couple of weeks after I stopped drinking too. Like it wasn't right away at all. But I started feeling like a million bucks going into work on Monday. And usually I'm just like slagging, don't want to be there, low energy, exhausted, physically and mentally. And I remember just like that first Monday, like after like maybe like a month, walking into work just feeling just superb. Like I was feeling just so good. And so like I was no longer like had being like, exhausted or like feeling hung over until like Wednesday of every week. And it felt amazing. I just felt fully there at work Monday through Friday rather than, Wednesday through Friday. And then, I would, start drinking again and then, repeat. But like just feeling amazing at work Monday through Friday. I was able to get so much more done and be so much more productive at work. So that was good. And then also one other the last thing I'm going to cover for today is weight loss. I started to drop weight like drastically. Like, you could definitely see the changes quick, which also like boosted like my mental health. Because there was a time where like I just really didn't like the way I looked. Like I was looking in the mirror every day, waking up, and I'm just like, I just did not like the way I was look. I felt like I just didn't look like my normal self. Like usually, like I'm pretty skinny, but usually I'm fit, more lean. But there's a time like I wasn't that, and I just wasn't like happy with myself because I never really like looked like that before. And so that like felt really good. Like I started to see like improvements in the gym. I had mentioned before, like there was a long time where I wasn't seeing any progress or improvements in the gym at all because of the drinking and when I was in my depression. But once I stopped drinking alcohol, like I started to see, those improvements which was just amazing to see. Just looking at myself again in the mirror and be like, okay, progress. You're step by step, you're going to get back to, where you used to be. And I do want to say, like, the day I stopped drinking, I was, 175 pounds the day I stopped. And then I weighed in at 160 pounds 3 months later on May 19th. And if you're watching this on video, you'll see a picture of my progress from when I stopped drinking versus, those 3 months. And like, you can definitely see like a change for sure. Like you can see like, my abs start coming back in, I'm definitely a lot leaner. So that definitely made me like, feel really good, about myself, just putting that work in and then seeing, the progress. Cause like when you're like putting the work in and you're just like drinking all the time, then, you're eating a bunch like after drinking, like you're not going to see that progress. So it's almost like your workout like is a waste in a sense. And I felt just good that knowing like no longer my workouts, were a waste. And another thing I just briefly want to mention is like inflammation. My inflammation definitely got better. Like I have a really bad back. So for those of you guys don't know, I have like a very bad back. Like my back is like the back of a like 60-year-old, which they described to me when I was like in my early 20s in college. Like they didn't even want me like to play soccer at all. That's how bad my back is. But basically, like I have arthritis in my back, and I have like 2 disc tears, and I also have some of my discs are like out of place in my spine. So like running has always been like an issue, like with my back. There was a time like when I was like, drinking a lot, like in my 20s, where I did like gain some weight, and then like I lost it back. And like when I have more weight on me, my back hurts a lot more. So like that's one huge reason outside of just like, wanting to be in shape, why I work out so much and why I want to stay lean. Because when I'm leaner, my back doesn't hurt as much. And when I stop drinking, alcohol bumps up your inflammation. So my inflammation started to go down on my back. And so now I notice like I don't really have to take my back medicine every day like I was. So definitely saving like some money there too. And yeah, just everything that goes along with drinking, as I mentioned at first, with those first couple of weeks and those 21 days, like I know it's definitely going to be hard for sure, because you're kind of starting like a new life, starting a new life, a new journey, and you kind of like don't know what to do. Like, those times, like, you usually go to the bar with your friends. You're like, okay, since I'm not going to the bar with my friends, like, what am I going to do instead? Do I just sit at home and do nothing and just, be bored? And so, like, I understand it, like, socially, like, why people, like, end up, breaking, their no drinking rule. Like, I get it 110%, but like, what you have to do is just find new hobbies. Like, you're kind of exiting, one life, and then you kind of just need to enter into a new life. So me, like, I just really like, I would say, like, I definitely did still go out when I stopped drinking, for sure. Again, because the social aspect of it, like, you just don't want to sit, inside bored, all the time. But so I definitely was still going out for sure. But I knew, like, I know myself, and once I made that promise, I knew I wasn't going to drink. I knew I wasn't going to falter or anything like that. So I would still go out for sure and hang out. But I definitely, started to do things like I used to do, before, I got, into, drinking in my depression. Like, I started to like dance again. I started, and this is kind of new, just journaling, just like putting in like my thoughts on, paper. I started, doing, ideas and work for, this podcast. I'm like, this, could be a really good idea. I started hiking a lot more, and now like I've started picking like tennis. So I found new hobbies to do. So yeah, that's what you just got to do. You just got to kind of like exit the life and then enter a new one, and just find things to replace what you knew before. So yeah, that's that. So that's definitely a few things that I noticed 3 months into my sobriety of no alcohol. And the next episode, I'm going to cover mentally what 3 months look like. So yeah, Foxies, thanks for tuning in this week, and then I will see you guys next week. You guys have a good rest of the day. What's up, Foxies? Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And be sure to follow me on social media at TheFoxHolePod. See you next time.